So this is one of my oldest friends. I'm going to be taking care of her today. A little bit dirty. Needs a little oil. Maybe I'll have to find another tripod for this thing. Get better sound quality. So, I actually decided not to bring out a special tripod for this thing because I couldn't find anything for it. I think it's good enough just being on the floor like that. One day I'll probably sort out this cable thing. It's a little too short. Go get an extension or a proper microphone. You gotta make do with what you have, right? But what I have here today is this beautiful, beautiful bike. Like I said, it's been my friend for a long time. I think this bike's going on 11 or 12 years old now. I don't remember. I think I bought it in like 2009, maybe even 2008. So it's a long time ago. And look at it. It's still in great condition, right? So what I want to do today is talk a little bit about maintenance and how important maintenance really, really is. See, because this bike would not be in such good condition if it wasn't maintained regularly and properly. But it goes beyond just that. Maintenance could be applied to everything, not just this bike. I mean, before you sell those cars, sure, another machine you gotta maintain. In fact, I brought one of my cars in, my father's van, to the garage to get an oil change, just regular maintenance stuff as well today. But like I said, it goes beyond just machines, beyond just bikes. You see, it's a little funny thing, but I find the bike maintains me as much as I maintain the bike. And I mean that in more than one way. I mean that in that, obviously when I'm riding it, I'm maintaining my body by exercising. I'm maintaining my mental health by just getting the sunshine, feeling the breeze on my face, taking time off, but also challenging myself as well while I do it, because it's not always easy, like sometimes you're actually training hard on the bike or you're going for a run, so you're maintaining your body, you're maintaining your mind that way. But there's one more way that the bike maintains you that I find is often overlooked. It's when you're actually working on your bike and taking care of it and maintaining it. It's almost like a little bit of a meditation process. You just kind of quiet down, go through the motions of cleaning and doing all the things you need to do, and just putting in that effort, putting in that time. Very peaceful. So, I'm going to go through the motions today with you guys and show you what it's like to maintain a beautifully crafted machine like this one. Now, you see, I don't know if you can see here, it's all dirty. Drove through some rain. This thing is an old thing and it's in very good condition. It's because I don't usually go through rain with it, but occasionally I do, and usually I clean it right after. Make sure it's wiped dry, make sure it's not rusting or anything. It's an aluminum frame, but there are some steel components. For example, the chain is steel, the chain rings are steel, chain rings, this stuff back here, the gear set, that's steel, derailleur is steel, so that stuff does rust. So you do have to take care of that, keep it dry. Some people like to coat it in oil sometimes, but you know, to each their own. So yeah, let's get started on this. If you're wondering what this is, it's just like an emergency bag I keep a lot of emergency supplies in here. So I'll have a few spare tubes in case I get a flat, punctured tire, a multi-tool, some other little tools, you know, just to make sure that I'm okay if ever something happens to me or the bike while I'm out. Sometimes I'm out pretty far. I have a backup to get myself going. Sometimes I bring my phone, usually I bring my phone, but you know, help can't always arrive immediately when you need it. Sometimes help doesn't arrive at all, so you have to take care of yourself. That's why I also have this little pump here. It takes care of the bike if ever it's in need of some air. You know, I tried to prepare as much as I could. I put out all the stuff over there, stuff that I'd probably need, but if I ever need something more, I could just go inside and get it. They're just simple things. You know, you don't have to go insane for your maintenance. I know some car guys buy all sorts of tools, thousands of dollars. You could do the same for a bike. You could spend, I don't even know, $10,000 on tools to maintain your bike. I mean, sure, a bike is such a simple thing. It just needs love and care. It doesn't need expensive tools. So I just have some cloths, soap and water, a little bit of chain lube, and I do have a little tool to clean the chain that I got a while ago, but that thing basically lasts a lifetime, and you know, you don't really have to clean your chain weekly unless you're really putting in the kilometers. Like generally, maybe I'll clean my chain 5-6 times a year. I should probably do it more often than that, but I mean, my bike's been fine. My bike's been fine even with that. So yeah, let's get started. What I like to do is I just like to start off nice and simple, nice and easy, using warm soapy water to just wipe down most of the bike. The easy portions of it, because some areas are really tough to reach, like up in here. Gotta remove the wheels for that. We'll get to that for now. Just nice and easy, nice and simple. And to me, there's no special trick to cleaning your bike. Some people, they get a nice routine where they have like a very efficient way they do it, very quick way of doing it. They kind of memorize a certain pattern where it's like, oh, I'm going to start here and move here and do this, and it takes me just 10 minutes to clean my bike, and I don't care. Sometimes it takes me an hour, sometimes it takes me 10 minutes because I do a little simple cleaning. This time I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I have a feeling it's going to be a little longer today. So I'm going to take it easy and enjoy the process. No stress, man. No stress. Like I said, when you're maintaining the bike is maintaining you just as much. So why stress over the process and rush it? when you can enjoy every step of the way as if you're dancing with your bike, as if you're dancing with this machine, taking care of it as it's taking care of you. And as you can probably see, I've got all sorts of attachments and stuff on it. Just some lights. This thing attaches my phone to the bike. Sometimes I do nighttime rides, or in fact, recently I'm doing a lot of nighttime rides every week because I take this bike to work and I finish late. So when I'm going home through the darkness, it's obviously way safer and way less stressful to not have to worry about being hit by something and actually seeing where you're going. So I have some really powerful front white lights and a nice red light that I put on the back here, which I've already removed because I was charging it. It's a rechargeable light. Alright, so that's the basic clean. I mean, as you can see, the bar tape, it gets dirty. I haven't replaced this tape in a long time. It's starting to tear. Maybe, just maybe, after I'm done this, I'll go order some online. Fix it some other day. But it lasts forever. I mean, I don't care if it's a little torn, no big deal. Like I said, I'm not super asinine about my stuff. If it works, you know? And there's a nice sweet spot, I find, with a lot of possessions where it's very stress-free in that sweet spot. You care about it, you love it, that's for sure. But you don't go overboard, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, you don't have to spend $4,000 on an expensive bike, plus another $3,000 on equipment, plus another $2,000 on maintenance stuff and tools. No, I mean, this bike was like, well, I mean, it was 11 years ago. Bikes have gotten more expensive since then. Maybe they've gotten cheaper, I don't really know. Anyways, I bought it for about $1,000. Bought some equipment, bought some like riding gear. Yeah, I go all out. I have like the tights, the aerodynamic suit. Well, it's not aerodynamic, but you know, it's just like tight, so it's not this kind of stuff and it doesn't flap in the wind. Got special clip-in shoes, clip into these pedals. See here? This little clip-in thing. Yeah, I mean, you can go as deep as you want, but generally too deep isn't good either. This looks good. Now, if you're like a really hardcore bike guy, you see someone doing this, you're probably cringing, right? You're supposed to get a stand, you're supposed to hook it up through here and have it kind of dangling. Apparently this is really bad for the bike, but like I said, it's an 11-year-old bike. I do this all the time. Yeah, the seat's a little chafed, but I mean, it gets chafed from me just riding on it anyways. These things maybe take some extra stress, but like, I don't notice it, so sometimes I'm just saying the simple solution is the right solution. A lot of these more expensive bikes, higher end bikes, come with these quick release mechanisms for the wheels. So you literally just flip it open, unscrew a little bit. It's super simple. I love it. It's worth the extra money because it saves you all this time and hassle. So you get what you pay for. That's for sure. It's usually the dirtiest part where you have to touch the chain a little bit in the back. Now the whole thing is super accessible, you know. Really get in there into those tough spots. Right here between the wheels, right where the chain is. The derailleur. Need some love and care. Keep it looking good, looking shiny. Might come back to this one later. It's looking a little dirty and a little, well, not a little, very dirty. There's a lot of junk in there. I've got a special degreasing solution for that. And same thing, the brakes, they get dirty. You get sorts of residue on them. It's probably one of the most important parts of the bike, to be honest. You need to stop quickly sometimes, so having good brakes is a good idea. And in fact, my brakes are old and really worn, so I should probably buy new pads as well. I've never even replaced them in the lifetime. I guess I don't do a lot of braking. Or maybe I just have gone way past their lifetime, but they seem to work fine for me still. So if it ain't broke, you know what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? It's so easy to get lost in just the motions. When you really care, you want every little spot to be buffed out. Every little piece of dust and dirt taken care of. It's like, it's funny because I know the moment I go onto a ride, within the first like 2 pedal strokes, it's going to be full of dust and dirt again. Not full, but not spotless. And for some reason I want to make it spotless now, but I guess I just really care for this thing. But there are some spots I know it's important to clean. See this spot here, right where this attaches, that has to be cleaned well because it maintains the grip right here where this point attaches to. If this gets clogged up, you know, water can start seeping in and just really causing problems. So there are some spots on the bike that do need a little bit of extra care. Here as well, you see the brake lines run along the underbelly and they attach here an important piece to keep clean, because if the brake line snaps here, well, I'm sure you can imagine consequences of that. So it's always a good idea to check on right here, make sure it's all okay. Sometimes I add a little lubrication here too. And obviously it helps to not go in rain so much, because I mean, like I said, this brake line is steel, so it does rust. You could replace it. I've never replaced mine yet, never had to. Keep it clean. Even if you do bike in the rain occasionally, it won't be a problem. Obviously, if you're commuting daily and you live in a very rainy place, or maybe if, you know, here I guess in the winter where there's salt on the roads and stuff, I mean, here I would never be able to ride in the winter. It'd be impossible. But a place like downtown where they keep the roads cleaner and people do bike, then those people might have to change their brake lines more often. But for someone like me who just rides in fair weather in the summer, not so necessary. It's funny, there's this little yellow speck here. I don't even know what it is. I'm starting to think it's just the paint getting old and turning yellow or something. I don't know. There's a lot of debris down here. And it's really stuck on. It's like, I don't know what this is. You know what it might be? See, because I work in a restaurant right now, so I bring my bike through the restaurant. There might be little chunks of fat or something, or like chicken skin. I don't even know what this is. Yeah, I work in like a chicken place. So what I was trying to say is I'll bring my bike in through the restaurant, through the back. I guess maybe I pick up some stuff onto my wheels, onto my tires, and then when I leave at night, the wheels get spinning. They probably fling the stuff onto here. That's what all this, I don't even know, sticky stuff is. Sticky yellow stuff. Grease or kind of fat, I don't know. It's no big deal. Like I said, there's a good balance of care and not care when it comes to a lot of these things. Like my car, I would love for it to be spotless, but it's starting to really rust now, and I just have to accept it and let go. There's no way I could fix it all. The car's old, it's going on 12 years. Same thing, very old car. I obviously didn't buy it brand new like I did this bike. That would have put me at like 15 years old. I'm 25 now, even younger, 14. There's no way I need a car at 14. I bought it used a few years back. I think it's 4 years ago now. Found it in great condition. Great condition. At least for its age. Did a little work on it, fixed it up a bit, and it's been running magically since. And I've just been taking care of it, same as I take care of my bike here. It's probably gonna go for years. Same as my dad's car. That, you guys remember the two cars there? The car on the left was my dad's car, Chrysler 300. First car I got to drive. Beautiful machine. So many great memories made in that car. But same thing, you know. It's my dad who taught me to be responsible, to maintain things, because his car is even older than mine, and he did buy it basically brand new. Maintained it ever since. For a car in Canada, I mean, I don't see many 300s around here anymore. especially with our harsh winters, but ours is still in such good condition. Like mechanically, my God, there's just a little bit of care. That's all you need. A little bit of care every once in a while. A little bit of prevention goes a long way. Alright, so it's pretty clean. I think that's all the spots. Maybe I'll come back to it a little later. I could keep scrubbing away because there's still stuff here and it just doesn't want to come off. Trying wet and dry and it's just not coming off. So like I said, there's a balance. At some point you just have to say, okay, can't do any better there. Sorry. Here, the brakes still need a bit. Like I said, there's definitely quicker ways of doing this. Some people even hose their bikes down. Use a big sponge, but kind of like just touching and admiring it sometimes, working it in a less efficient way with my hands, just to feel the work, you know, even if it's not as efficient or quick as it possibly could be. It's relaxing. It's enjoyable. Yeah, you see already I'm thinking like, maybe I should have cleaned the chain first, because now I have to put my wheels back on to clean the chain, and sometimes cleaning the chain shoots off some dirt and I have to re-clean the body. Whatever, no problem. No problem. This bad boy back on. And see, super dirty, so maybe I should have cleaned that first. There we go. It doesn't have to be super tight because I'm just going to take them off later. Like I said, this is by no means a clean your own bike tutorial. It's just my way of, I don't know, enjoying the outdoors with you guys, I guess. But here's the tool. It's a pretty genius design. I'll give you guys a look. See, it's got all these little brushes and stuff inside. And what they do is they get kind of in between the chain links and in the sides, and they scrub off all the gunk and the grime and the steel dust that accumulates from all the friction and the rubbing. Because that chain, I mean, it goes under a lot of stress. every time you go ride. It's just rolling and rolling, and there's grinding, and it just wears away. And eventually the chain gets so worn that you can kind of feel a stretch and becomes loose. And if it wears away too much, it throws off the alignment between these teeth, and then it really starts wearing them down, because these teeth can last a long time. In fact, my front chain rings I've never changed. They're probably on their last legs right now, maybe even too worn. But it still works, so who cares? Who cares? It's not causing much more damage. The only real issue is if you leave it for too long where it's way too worn, the chain could start skipping. You lose a lot of efficiency, so you're pedaling harder for nothing. But it kind of has like a back and forth thing happening where the chain, if it's worn, wears the rings, and then you buy a new chain. But if the rings are worn, they'll wear the new chain out faster. So you'll be spending a lot of money just going back and forth. So at some point it becomes more worthwhile, more worth your time to just swap everything out, buy a new chain and new rings, and they'll last a long, long time. Especially if you do what I'm about to do. You clean them, clean all that gunk off, and then re-lubricate with a fresh layer of wax or fresh layer of Teflon, whatever you want to use. It'll keep everything running smooth. It'll keep everything kind of forgetting the word here. I'm the engineer, I should know all these terms. But yeah, just basically it keeps everything running smooth, so it's not grinding, so that it slides, the metal surfaces slide over each other, right? But yeah, so and there's actually one more thing, but it kind of came off here. There's a little magnet at the bottom to catch the debris, so the debris collects at the bottom, and then you could clean it out, toss it away. Now I'm pouring in some degreaser, just a little bit. And you can get some biodegradable degreaser stuff. You can honestly probably drink it. And this is water, you know. Yeah, don't worry, water. Mix a little water in. There's like a fill line somewhere. That's about right. You can use all degreaser if you want, but even a little bit like of this stuff that I have just cuts through so easily, so I don't like wasting it. It's not expensive. It's just, why use more than you need to? You can just fill it up with water instead. Kind of go half-half. Now, this attaches here. And then you just crank it through, and it's really cool. It does all the work for you really easily. Genius design, as with many things in society today. Try to stabilize my bikes. I don't know, I kind of like want to show it in action, but there we go. And it does leak, so just put down a cloth because I don't want like grease stains on my driveway. crank away. Crank away. Minute, 2 minutes. Longer you go, obviously, the cleaner it gets. There's little brushes to get it in between all those little chain links. Clean it away, clean away all the dirt. The degreaser starts to really penetrate, get in there, start stripping away all of the lubricant, all of the sludge kind of stuff that forms. And then you could kind of tell, yeah, it's getting clean, it's getting there. And then for this part, I don't really like to use my mom's, well, because these are my mom's, these little rags. I don't like to use them because they do kind of stain. I mean, this one, yeah, that one's maybe stained already. But I used to have a couple, and they just eventually tear and wither away. So maybe I'll snatch these up now. But usually I like to use a disposable kind of paper towel to wipe it down, wipe it clean, because then all the extra sludge comes off, and it's just not great to run that kind of stuff through a washing machine, I don't think. Whereas this you can just kind of throw away. Yeah, not ideal. Like I said, sometimes you just have to make do. It's probably pretty good. Put this aside for later. Just maybe off video I'll do my brother's bikes too. So this is degreaser. Like I said, it just cuts through everything. It could go forever. Now watch how much junk comes off. And this is after it's already came off into the water. Look at that. Look at that. Sometimes that happens, you get a little derailment. Just perfect bag. Reattach it. No problem. Yeah, honestly, my chain was pretty dirty. I pretty much went all winter of training indoors in my basement without really cleaning it, and then some in the summer, so this is honestly way overdue. You know, I speak of like all this maintenance and stuff, and then I didn't really maintain this for a while, but you know, we all have our little we're not all perfect is what I'm trying to say. We're not all perfect. We're not always perfect. But to me, I think the important part is just to be honest with yourself. Because I procrastinate. I'll be honest about that. And yeah, sometimes I just don't do what I know I should do, and I put it off, and I put it off. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. But deep down inside, I know I don't feel like doing it tomorrow either. But eventually, it gets done. Eventually, it always gets done. I know it has, I know it will. Like I said, the important part is just to be honest about it. And don't lie to yourself. Don't tell yourself, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, when you really don't mean it. Just tell yourself, I don't feel like doing it now. I don't feel like doing it later. And it just better that way usually, because then at least you're halfway there, right? You're admitting to yourself that it needs to be done. You just don't feel like it right now. It's half the battle. The hardest step usually is just getting it started. Like, now that I'm here, I'm enjoying it. Like, I don't know why I procrastinate for these kinds of things. I guess it's just, like I said, we're all flawed. We all have strange character traits. I'm like that. Maybe you are too. Don't judge yourself too harshly. Certainly doesn't help. Yeah, it's still dirty. Maybe I'll pass through one more time. See, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. Sure, maybe my chain's a little worn down now. More than it quote-unquote should be. Who cares? Just buy a new one. Oh. Pracuję.
What are you doing?
I'm working.
Yeah, but I have to water the grass.
Okay, I'll finish it later.
Huh?
I'll finish it later. Or I'll move. Or I'll water the grass later.
No.
You're doing now? Well, I'm back. And what timing, eh? What timing? I had all day to do this, and it happened so just right. Just when I decided to do this, my dad wants to come out and water the grass, water the plants. So yeah, it's funny timing. But you see, could have used that as an excuse to just say, well, you know, screw it. I'll do this another day. But you see how I was talking about being honest and having the integrity to admit your flaws and admit your mistakes and just learn from them and grow from them. Obviously I had the little voice in my head telling me, hey Chris, you know, forget about it. Everything is ruined. Everything is fucked up. You got interrupted, your video got interrupted. I had a little bit of an urge to get upset over it. And I could have just, you know, forgotten about it and done it another day. But I knew it's not the right thing to do, and I know it's always a choice. See, it's a choice to get upset. And I chose to not get upset. I chose to say, well, you know, it happened for a reason. It happened for a reason. And I think the reason was, well, to show that sometimes you need honest breaks. Because honestly, my knees were starting to hurt a little bit because I don't normally clean my bike in front of a camera like that. And you know, I'm trying to kind of position myself for it. So I was not in a super comfortable position. My knees were starting to get sore from being on the floor. But yeah, so I took an honest break. And I don't even remember what I was talking about before. Something about, you know, it's okay. Oh right, yeah. I was saying it's fine if you don't clean, or if you don't maintain sometimes, as long as you eventually end up doing it. Even if it's a little bit late, it's better than never. I mean, sure. Yeah, my chain, maybe it won't last 5,000 kilometers of riding. It might only last 3,000 if I maintain it far and few in between. But at least it's still something. And I could choose to get upset over it, or I could just say, you know what, it doesn't matter. What do I do all of this for? What's the point? Is it to get stressed? Is it to worry? Is it to feel guilty all the time? Is it to feel like it's never enough? Like it's not good enough? You know, because I could feel guilty about not maintaining my bike. I could feel guilty about not maintaining myself. I feel guilty about not maintaining my relationships. Instead of feeling guilty, flip it around. Choose to not get upset. Choose to see the bright sides. Choose to learn from it. Choose to be better. And then, like I said, it's no problem. So what? I buy a chain after 3,000 kilometers. Yeah, 2,000 kilometers wasted. But there's another side to it. There's 3,000 kilometers that I got to ride on it, just in complete enjoyment, complete bliss, you know? So it's a choice. Am I going to choose to focus on the 2,000 wasted kilometers, or on the 3,000 kilometers that were just glorious, you know? But yeah, maintain those relationships. And in fact, my dad came out and it was a bit of a funny moment, you know? We laughed about it later, and I guess this was the world showing me that, hey Chris, you've got to maintain your relationship with your parents too. You've got to maintain that relationship with your dad. Maybe I've been putting that off for a bit too much as well. So it's just funny. Things happen for a reason, you know? And sometimes they turn out to be right on time. See, now I've kind of forgotten what I've been doing. I think I was going to clean the chain again for a second time. There we go. So now it's looking a lot better. Before, when I was running my finger through it, kind of see it here, just a little bit, but before it was a lot more. And I guess with experience it kind of comes, and you could tell when it's the right amount. You're never going to get it completely clean unless you use something really harsh like gasoline, which I know some people do, or like really, really harsh degreasing chemicals. Well, like I said, gasoline is a good one. There's also like used kerosene. A lot of fuels honestly are super, super good at degreasing, but I just use this organic citrus stuff. It's like citrus based basically, but you'll never get it perfectly clean, and that's okay, because like I said, the moment you go out riding, the instant you take one cycle of the pedals, you've already created a bit more dirt. You've already created a little bit of abrasion in the links, and it's no use fighting for those little tiny microparticles, fighting for those inches, those millimeters, when you could just take the majority of the space, do the majority of the work right, and not stress so much. I should have probably bought more of these out. Like I said, I could always go back in and get some more. Now I think I just have to let this chain sit for a bit, let it dry off, get the grease out. Sometimes I even just completely dump this and just put water to rinse off that grease, dilute it, or not the grease, the degreaser, because now if I want to re-lubricate it, put the lube back on, the degreaser will just chew through it again, and it's like, it'll be a total waste of time, right? So yeah, Actually, I feel like getting a little fancy here. It's odd, because I used to have a quick release chain link here. I could take the chain off and dry it. But I don't remember if I put that quick release chain link back on, or if I just went out and bought a new chain. I might not have it yet. This looks like this one would be it, but I don't remember this looking like that. You know what? That's true. Here, I have a little story for you guys. So last year, right, I had this accident on my bike, and basically flipped over the handlebars. How I got like this little scar here. Long story short, I just wasn't in the mood to fix my bike because the wheels were completely mangled. So I just went out, bought 2 new wheels, new tires, and they did some other maintenance work. I guess they put a new chain on. So I'm looking at this and this does not look like my old chain at all. I didn't even know. I guess I paid for it. But they definitely put a new cassette back here. So mine was all chewed up and old. Yeah, I guess so. Anyways, I guess I can't do the quick release stuff because I don't know how this one works. I'll probably be fiddling around for it for too long before I do figure out how it works. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna go do the refill with this. Fill it up with water, bring some more of these out. So I'll be right back. So I got some more, but I also remembered I wanted to use that to clean my brother's bike's chains as well. So I'll just do the old-fashioned method. Wipe it down with some soapy water. And that'll dilute off the rest of the degreaser. And hopefully the chain will be well for taking on more lubricant. Seems about right. And like I said, you could feel it, you could see it, and then you kind of just rub your fingers together. They feel slippery. There's still a little degreaser on there. There's one more thing I kind of want to do. I want to brush in between. Get into the cassette. Brush between the cassette, get that dirt out. So, yeah. Usually works a lot better when the chain's off, but I guess this kind of works. Yeah, I could always just pull the chain off the back, then it might get tangled. Here a bit, clean this stuff off. There's probably some degreaser left on the sprockets, so I can kind of salvage some of that off. Get all this gunk off the derailleur. if I really need more degreaser, I would just go dip into that little pool over there. See, like this one. Maybe just dip the brush in there. Get it a little wet. There. Never said it's a clean job. You're gonna get your hands a little black sometimes. Might even spray your shirt a bit. Especially with this brush, I could feel some little sprinkles just spraying off, you know? Hitting me in the leg and stuff. Oh my god. But at least I know I could just go and clean myself later too. No problem. Now that I'm dirty, it doesn't even matter. It's like, once you're in, there's no turning back, right? Maybe I'll get the front chain rings too, while I'm at it. Just work it in, spread the degreaser around, and then I'll let the cloth do the rest of the work. There, seems fine. I can wash it all away. Should come out nice and clean. Look at that. Almost like new. Almost like new. Said it's not a clean job. That's the fun of it sometimes. Getting hands dirty, it's a little exciting, you know? I mean, this isn't very dirty. There's much dirtier jobs out there, but it's just a bit. Just a bit, just a little bit of interestingness. You know what I mean? See, if I really wanted to get into it, I could probably disassemble this, literally take these chain rings off and clean them proper. This is my lazy side, and I don't feel like doing it. I'm just gonna clean it how I clean it, do the best that I can with what I have. And that'll be that. Because everything on this bike can come apart. Screws all over here, take the middle one out, and then this whole like pack kind of comes apart, and you can clean each one individually. You could replace each one individually, because that's the thing. Really, really well designed machines, like proper road bikes, proper mountain bikes, cars. The engineers, the designers that make these things, they're very, very thoughtful in how each component works together. The very expensive components, the main ones, like the frame, probably the most expensive part of the bike. It's basically made to last a lifetime. This aluminum one could probably go 30, 40, 50 years if I take care of it, if I clean it. Maybe it'll need a repainting by then, but even then, I've got friends whose dads have old steel bikes and they're like 50 years old. The frame, I mean. But then there's the other components, like the seat, much cheaper. Much, much cheaper. You can maintain it, you can clean it, but eventually it will wear down. See over here, you can already see where my thighs wear down from all the pedaling. So it's replaceable. Brakes, super cheap, super replaceable, very easy. One screw, pop in a new one, done. These things, a little less replaceable, but still replaceable. They're expensive. A good chain set might cost you $200. I'm talking about the whole thing. Maybe 300, 400 if you really want to go high end. I'm sure there's probably more expensive ones out there. But you see, 5 screws. It's a little harder to replace, a little more expensive. You don't replace it as often. Then you go into like the internals. You've got like the wheel hubs. Those are really hard to work on, really hard to replace. A little more expensive, but you don't have to replace them often at all. I've only worked on my hubs once in my lifetime. Really fun to get down and dig into it. But yeah, just a hassle to do. So they're harder to get to. But likewise, the trade-off is you don't need to replace them so often. But these new wheels, they come with little cartridges. So this is actually a really fancy thing. You just kind of pop them out and pop in new cartridges, new ball bearings, and your hub's good to go. Much easier to do. I guess manufacturing's gotten better since the old style, where you literally have individual ball bearings and you have to grease them by hand and all that. It's kind of sentimental to me, you know, having that old school style. Maybe on my next bike, I'll get the old kind, you know, or maybe on this one. Who knows? If I get into another accident, maybe I'll buy some older tires, or I mean older wheels, and get those old cut and cone style ones where you gotta really get down and in there, just for the fun of it. There's some other replaceable parts. Bar tape, that's replaceable. Stem, there's bearings in here as well. Again, not as easy to get into, but again, you don't have to service them as often either. So that's the thing, if you make it easy to get into, that also means dirt and water can get into there easily. And so kind of playing this game where you're balancing how easy is it to get into, how easy is it to service. The easier you make it, the easier it'll degrade, quicker it'll degrade, because then dirt and stuff will make its way in. But if you make it really impenetrable, and it's really hard to service, really hard to clean, really hard to maintain, so there's this nice optimized point in the middle somewhere where it's just perfect. It's not too hard to get into, but not too easy either. A few more pieces. Obviously the derailleur you can replace. It's expensive. It's much better to just clean it like I do, grease it like I do, rather than replacing it. But you see, this whole thing is just a balancing act, balancing game. Yeah. Clean the other side now. So here's another trick I've kind of developed from being lazy. Shift this up one, get the chain out of the way, and now that middle chain ring is accessible for cleaning. You can kind of just shift away. Shift it all the way. There. Like I said, if you really want to get meticulous, you can go in between each tooth, get in there, take it off, maybe soak it in a cleaning solution. Some people like to put it into like a big Tupperware or something and shake it around. That's another good way to clean it. But too much work for me right now. I just want to clean this baby and hop on for a ride before the sun goes down. As long as it looks good, it's enough for me. Not bad, sir. Not bad. Let's see what's next on the agenda. I think I'm going to do one more cleaning of the frame, get all those little spots off, and then I'm going to clean the wheels. That'll be that. See, like to me, I've never needed the stand because you could just stand the bike like that. As long as you're gentle, as long as you don't kick it around, it seems to be fine. And besides, I can always just replace the hoods here, also a replaceable part. Pretty much everything on the bike is replaceable. You can just kind of build it as you go. As things degrade, as things go, you just take them off, replace them with a new one, maintain them while they're there. And then I guess eventually the frame fails, but like that can go forever as long as you're not truly abusing your bike. Wheels, they break, they warp. You can kind of modify them here. Straighten out some of these when they do warp. It's all up to you. How deep do you want to go? AKA, how lazy are you when it comes to this stuff? Good brushing here. Uh-oh, there goes a spring. Everything comes apart, everything can be replaced. It's a lot like our bodies. our bodies kind of operate in the same way. So long as we maintain them, body kind of replaces the pieces it needs as it goes. Cells come and go, they die, you grow new hairs. In fact, yesterday I burnt all my arm hairs off with the barbecue, kind of exploded on me. But they'll grow back, no problem. I'll just replace my hairs. Some things you can't replace. Brain, for example. I mean, I guess you could replace some organs. People do get transplants, but they're harder to replace. Much, much harder. And so usually it's a good idea to maintain them instead of letting them go straight to failure. As with a lot of things, maintenance, prevention goes a long way towards happiness and prosperity. And sure, some of these things I don't really need to do. I probably don't need to clean these wheels. There's not really much of an advantage to cleaning the rim besides aesthetics. So yeah, some of it is just aesthetics, some of it is functional, and some of it is both. Like I said, this aesthetic stuff, in a way it is functional, because I derive a lot of pleasure knowing that my bike looks good and that I take care of it and that I could be proud of the work I put into it. Same as with my body, same as with my other possessions, same as with my relationships. You know, some things you could honestly say, well, I don't really need to do that. It's not 100% necessary, but it feels good. And so for that, I think it's worthwhile. Yeah, so what I'm trying to do here is get in between all of these. Let's make it look nice and shiny. And the high-end discs, same as with the chain rings, they would come apart. They're just a whole stack. But this one, it's a much cheaper, heavier, mass-produced one. And it doesn't come apart. Just one solid block. It's a little harder to clean them individually. Kind of have to go in between. But like I said, I don't mind. It's worth my time. Why rush? Why stress? Time is our most valuable resource, right? So to me, the best way to spend your time is to do exactly what you like. Why do anything at all that you don't like? And then following that logic, if it's worth doing all the way. It's worth doing right. Going all in. Don't hold back. And I say that right after I was saying I'm too lazy to take it apart and clean it well. Yeah, a little hypocrisy, you know, but that I didn't want to do. But this I do want to do, so I'm gonna do it. And you know, as I'm cleaning this, I'm looking and it's far from perfect. There's still tons of little marks and stuff, and it's like, I wish it could be brand new. Got that itch, just a perfectionist itch. But I know it's impractical. And I know I have to balance it out. Between getting it perfect and getting it done just well enough. Because I could probably spend days buffing out every little bit. And for what? Well, when I put the chain on there, the chain is going to dirty it right up again. So, yeah, but it looks good. It looks good now. Another important thing when you're working on machinery like this is to dry it properly. Because like I said, a lot of steel parts, a lot of parts with iron in it, they will rust. And you know, you can actually make things worse if you clean it with water and soap. It gets everything wet, and then it corrodes, rusts. So you end up shortening its lifespan. True of a lot of things when it comes to maintenance. That's an aspect that I've noticed. When it comes to maintaining things, sometimes it's actually better to do less rather than overdoing it. You know, if I really got this wet and I left it in for like a deep soak somewhere, I'd probably ruin it. So using a little less water, using a little less soap ends up being better for it. Because then it doesn't rust. Like I said, there's a balance, and you could baby it and take it too far. Sometimes I guess it needs a little bit of tough love too. Put it through the works. I used to baby this bike a little too much, I'll admit. When I first got it, I wanted it to be spotless. I avoided going on grass. I avoided going through dirt trails. It's like, what the hell is the point of a bike if I'm not going to ride it? And I'll admit, I still sometimes kind of avoid puddles, avoid splashing it. I'll try and avoid going out on wet rides in the rain, avoid getting wet. But I know that this thing can take it, it'll be fine. I'll just clean it. And one day it'll break, because all things fall apart, all things come to an end. Everything that has a beginning must have an end, sort of deal. This bike will die, just like everything else in life, and that's okay. the best thing to do is to enjoy the moments with it as fully as possible, as completely as possible. Every second, every movement, treat it like a dance. Have fun with it, enjoy it. Now, finishing touches. It's funny. I feel like I made it dirtier in this area because now my rag is a bit dirty. Well, maybe it's time to switch rags. Yeah. I don't know what happened there. Oh well, not everything can be perfect. You know what I think it is? I think I actually scratched it there. Sometimes when there's dirt and you're being too vigorous with it, really scrubbing to get it clean, it ends up scratching the paint, and then the dirt impregnates itself into the paint and it really gets stuck. So that's what I mean when I was telling you before, there's too much love. Oh, no, maybe not too much love, but I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is you can go a little too far sometimes. You end up hurting it because you care too much about it too much. Well, another lesson. This bike's full of scratches. It's full of lessons, falls, dings, bumps. My body has bruises and scars. Like I said, sure, there's a time and place to be gentle, to watch for those risks. Sometimes it's just exciting to go fast. Take a turn quickly, take a turn hard. Right on that fine balanced line. Sometimes you judge it wrong. I've judged it wrong. I wiped out, crashed, burned out. But why do we fall? What's the purpose of falling? Is it not to pick yourself up again? thing, this derailleur. I could potentially unscrew it all, take it apart, get in between these plates. But I'm lazy. Humans are lazy, we like shortcuts. Sometimes they work. See, like, I know this shortcut will likely work. Boom. Clean between the plates without taking them apart. Just gotta get creative sometimes. And other times, I spend so much time trying to find a shortcut that in an ironic twist, it ends up being longer than just doing it the long way in the first place. Because as I'm doing this, I can kind of see if I really want to get in there, I could spend another 10 minutes kind of poking and prodding here, really getting in there, or I could just take it apart and do it properly another day. Alright, that's enough of that. My bike's pretty clean, I'm happy with it. Let's put this on. Back to where it came. I mean, like I said earlier, you get what you pay for, but you also have to earn quality. Sure, this bike's expensive. And had I paid twice as much for twice as expensive bike, would it be twice as good? Not really. There's a certain limit how good it could just be, you know, just doing it the quick and easy, just purchasing it and forgetting about it. But I've made this bike so valuable to me because I've earned it, because I've put the work in. Almost done. Just have to re-grease the chain. And then it'll be good to go. Every time I kind of notice more scratches. And it's not from cleaning. Like I said, I made a new one here thanks to cleaning. So I cleaned a little too hard. But even just from biking, sometimes a rock flies up, chips it. It's getting there. It's getting there. Maybe one more pass with the wet cloth. And then dry cloth. That's pretty good. And now my chain rings are all dirty again. So thanks to that. Yeah. I could always come back and clean it later, you know? When it really dries out, if I go for a ride, some of this other dirt will dry off and it'll do well. But the chain is clean. The chain's good. Put this stuff on. I personally really like using wax. This isn't a product placement or anything. I'm not going to tell you the brands. It doesn't matter. Plenty of good brands out there. Do your own research. How can I do this? Like I said, I like using wax ones. You can use other ones. There's dry lubricants. They go on dry. But I like the wax stuff because it keeps it super clean. And this is a brand new bottle. I've never used this stuff. No idea how it works, but I'm sure it works well. Yeah, because the thing with wax is kind of hardens and the dirt sticks to it and then it flakes off as you ride. So like almost cleans itself. And it's very easy to work with a bike because the chain stays clean. You can kind of touch it, it stays clean. I like to apply 2 coats and I'll go for a ride. And after the first ride, I'll reapply the 3rd coat. And by then, it's good for like many kilometers. Much more than what most people say. I know a lot of pros like to lubricate their chain every 500 kilometers, clean it. Some even fewer, some even go like 250. Like I said, I probably go like 1,000 kilometers on it and it's fine. It's no big deal. And again, there's a sweet spot to this too, because you could spend all your money on degreaser, on tools, on lubricants, and you might end up spending more on the maintenance stuff than on just a new chain at the end of its lifespan anyways. I mean, like, sure, you'll extend your chain life to 5,000, 6,000 kilometers, but you will have used so much lubricant, so much degreaser, so much everything, that you end up paying more for that than just buying a new $25 chain at 3,000 kilometers or 2,500 kilometers, you know. Like seriously, if you do the math, $25 chain, say it lasts you 2,500. Someone else, their chain lasts 5,000, so you will have paid $25 more for that same lifespan period. But the other person may have spent an extra $10 on lubricants over you, another $15 on degreaser. You're in the same spot. He spent $25 extra on lubricant and degreaser, you spent an extra $25 on the new chain. You're in the same spot. But there's a sweet spot somewhere where it's just right. Yeah, wow, look at that. Clean. Clean chain. I'll go for my ride. Wipe off the old excess dirt because I'm a perfectionist. See these little spots here. I like my stuff shiny, silver, blue and white. All beautiful colors. So yeah, I'm gonna clean up my cleaning up supplies. See you guys next time.
They say what goes around comes around. And I find when you put effort into something, it gives back to you. And it ends up maintaining you just as much as you maintain it.